we do have some breaking news here on the jump. If we can get, I love the little there we go. It's like the old-time news wire. The Clippers extending Doc Rivers' contract despite that they missed the playoffs this past season. Terms of the deal not disclosed, but Steve Ballmer released a statement which read in part, quote, Doc is one of the top coaches in the NBA, coming off one of his finest seasons since joining the Clippers. Jackie, you were surprised, when this came up right before the show.
And Doc did do a great job once they were undermanned and Blake Griffin was on his way and Chris Paul left town and all of that. But we kept hearing it. We knew that Doc was looking elsewhere. So I was surprised that this is the conclusion both of these two parties came to going forward. I think Doc as the coach, as opposed to Doc as the grand poobah, will be a much better thing for him. That's the one thing I would say.
Well, two things. I don't understand how having a great season is not making the playoffs. I can never understand that. And two, we know Chris Paul wasn't the problem.
Well, I mean, look, I do think that with the pieces he was left with, after Chris Paul left, they had so many injuries, then they trade away Blake Griffin. I thought he did do a very good job coaching the roster that he had. What was interesting to me is he signed his first contract, and as you noted, to be both in the front office and to be a coach. Right. They took those front office duties away from him. He made it clear he did not want to go into his final year coaching on that contract. He wanted either an extension or for them to let him go. You have to assume he took a pretty sizable pay cut, right, Jackie?
Well,
to just do the coach.
Would have to, but you know what? I think Doc's at a point in his career. I think he's looking at this as a reboot, honestly, right? Because when he was here in Boston, he used to always say to me, you know, we'd talk about personnel, and he's like, I leave that to Danny, I just coach. And then all of a sudden he wanted those personnel decisions. I never thought he was cut out for that, and I don't mean that he couldn't do it. It's just, it's too hard to do it. And we talk about Popovich doing it. Not really.
Not really.
He's got RC
right
there.
Yeah.
And most of the guys, there's very few guys. Look at Stan Van Gundy. He's out of both jobs now. It's an impossible job.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to see it going better than having Chris Paul and Blake Griffin and not winning. It's kind of hard to see winning now.
What they're going to do next?
Yeah, it's hard.
It'll be interesting.
Chris Paul is a lethal blow.
Yeah.
Absolutely.